What's up, my friends? Today I'm here to show you the best deal out there on firewood, and it's available in nearly every state. For all this wood, all it cost me was $25 and a little bit of sweat. Now, don't click away like you're scared of some manual labor, because the process is actually pretty fun. Not to mention a great workout. Now, the National Forest Service sells these personal use firewood permits for pretty cheap. Here in Idaho, we can purchase a minimum of 4 cords for only $25. What's a cord? Well, a single cord measures out to 4 foot by 4 foot by 8 foot and weighs about 2,600 pounds, meaning for $25, I can have over 10,000 pounds of firewood. Compare that to gas station firewood ranging from $6 to $10 a bundle. It would take over 700 of these bundles to equal 4 cords. Math that out, and that would cost you well over $4,000 at $6 a bundle for the same amount of wood I can get for just 25 bucks. Now, I do have to cut it up, load it, haul it, split it, and stack it, but there's plenty worse ways to spend your time. In fact, you can tell your wife you got to go camping for a couple days in order to save the family $4,000. You're welcome. Really, it won't take that long to do, but might as well see how long you can get away with going camping for. Now, you'll need a good chainsaw and trailer to get this done easily. I'm too young and broke to own either, but the old man across the street has this sweet Husqvarna that melts through logs like butter, and I can use my dad's big trailer in order to get it all in one load. Having a long trailer with a low deck makes this a lot easier, but use whatever will work. You can use a truck bed, but number one, truck beds are high, making you lift each log that much higher. And two, a long bed with racks can only hold about 1 cord, so you'll have to make multiple trips to fill your permits. This year we headed up to the Boise National Forest since it's only about an hour from home. This area is known for its ponderosa pine trees, which make for pretty decent firewood. There's better wood out there that put out more heat, but plenty of people rely on ponderosa pine firewood to get through the winter and manage just fine. It's a softwood, which has the benefit of weighing less and splitting easier. It's easy to ignite once it's dry, and most importantly, it's abundant. These trees also grow quicker than our Douglas firs and at a lower elevation, making them our preferred option. You'll want to look for a tree that's pre-seasoned or already partially dried out for a number of reasons. First, because why take a perfectly good living tree out of the forest when there's plenty of standing deadwood and already fallen trees to choose from? Also, dead trees are going to have a lot less sap, which makes a mess and can gum up your chainsaw. Most importantly though, is that the wood has already had time to naturally dry out, making it much easier to split and then burn the wood. But before listening to my advice, first check with your local guidelines to see what you can and can't take. There's likely certain species of trees you aren't allowed to take, even if they're already dead. I believe in most places you can't cut living or dead white bark pine trees. When you purchase your firewood permit, you'll get a guide listing all the local rules and maps showing you where you can cut, so make sure to read through those before making your first cut. You also get these cool ticket looking things where you'll mark when you harvested the tree and then stick them on the back of the logs before going anywhere so the Forest Service doesn't think you're poaching firewood. Here we get a ticket for a quarter cord of firewood, and they ask that you place it on the back of the logs facing out the back so they can see it while driving behind you. Once you get it home is when the fun really begins. Now you get to undo all the work of loading the trailer as you unload it. Depending on the moisture level of the wood, you may want to leave them piled as rounds for them to continue drying, since nobody likes splitting wet wood. Wet wood is much harder to split and tries to keep your axe. If you have time on your side, it's much better to let them dry in the round. If not, look at getting a big log splitter. Around here you can rent one for a little over $100 a day. Myself, I actually enjoy the workout I get from splitting wood, so I see these logs as cheap workout equipment. After high school, I began to hate working out if it wasn't accomplishing something during the workout. Running on a treadmill reminds me a lot of a hamster wheel, where you're putting in a lot of work but not really getting anything out of it. Splitting wood, on the other hand, gives me some satisfaction as I see the stack of the rounds getting smaller and the stack of my quarters getting bigger. In fact, one of my first odd jobs growing up was splitting firewood for my neighbor. My buddy and I split the pay and traded off as we got tired. Having a nice strong core and shoulders gave me a leg up when I started football and wrestling. And maintaining good shoulder and core strength will help you avoid injuries and stay feeling younger longer. That being said, running a power log splitter is still a good workout. Even if your axe swinging days are behind you, moving and stacking firewood is a great way to keep moving. You'll see that I currently have all my logs stacked in the round so they can continue drying now that they're cut to firewood length. The moisture in the log is able to escape quicker through the end grain than it can through the outer layer of wood. So now that they're cut to shorter lengths, they're going to have a much easier time releasing that moisture. These logs are already fairly dry, which you can tell by touching them in the morning as the sun's coming up. The colder the log, the more moisture it has in it, since moisture has more thermal mass than the wood does. But If you're not that in touch with Mother Earth, you can just get yourself one of these handy dandy moisture meters. I got this initially for wood I was milling to know when it was ready to come out of the kiln, but man is it handy when picking out firewood. You get an instant percentage reading and a scale showing you just how wet the wood is. Even has a flashlight on it if you're out grabbing wood in the dark, and has an option for measuring softwood, hardwood, or even masonry. First time I saw one of these in use was actually by an inspector for a restoration company after my crawl space flooded. You can use this to see if there's moisture in a wall cavity, or like we're doing here, to see how much moisture is still in a piece of wood. Nice to have around, pretty cheap, check it out. Now, like I said, you don't want to kill yourself trying to split wet wood, but split wood dries even faster than rounds do. So you'll want to split them once they're fairly dry, and then give them even more time to finish seasoning. Once you have them quartered, you'll want to stack them again, making sure that they're off the ground. Indoors is best, but not very realistic for most people. So I use a pallet to elevate them off the ground, and then when the temperature starts dropping, I'll cover them with a tarp for the winter. This wood will be plenty dry by winter since I cut it from a log that had already been dead for a while, but ideally, I'd use last year's wood for this year's winter. Hold on to this wood for the following winter. Then, my quartered wood will have a whole year to finish drying, and I'll have twice as much wood on hand as necessary in case there is some type of emergency where I or someone else need a lot more wood than expected. Well, that's all I have for today. Let me know in the comments how you manage your firewood hauls, and if you have any tips on how to make the process easier. Until next time, this has been Jake with Pantry Prep.